News, and it's a political one ahead of the election 2020. And we have our guest, is Honorable Elvis Afriyie Ankrah, former sports minister, who is leading the NDC as its director of elections for election 2020. Now, Honorable, on the rating, our last item is corruption, and it's the biggest subject matter. How would you rate this government, bearing in mind the things they've done so far? Special Prosecutor's Office. There are some cases in court, including people who serve in administration. You have the NCA case in court. You have Opuni in court. Myriad is being taken to court by Special Prosecutor. Maslow case also coming up in court. What will you say?
Okay, so first of all, we should understand that a person is innocent until proven guilty. And I have learned from personal experience that there's a world of a difference between the things that people put out in public, in the media, in terms of perception, in terms of some are even paid for and orchestrated, I know, and I have evidence to that effect. And having somebody being prosecuted and convicted and sentenced. So far, nobody has been convicted and sentenced. And the trials that are going on, I don't want to prejudice it, but you can judge for yourselves where they are going. So nobody has been prosecuted and convicted. It's their ongoing trial. So as far as I'm concerned, they are innocent until proven guilty by the court of competent jurisdiction. Having said that, when you come to the MPP, oh no, somebody said, under MPP, corruption is like a social intervention. It is like 1 week, one corruption. And I feel sad, very sad saying this. The MPP and the Akufo-Addo administration, maybe let me not say the MPP, the Akufo-Addo administration. Because President Kufuor is my friend. He had his issues. I don't agree with him in many ways, and I gave him a lot of trouble. But between President Kufuor and Nana-Addo, the difference is like the difference between light and darkness.
That's harsh.
No, it's true. You see, because the way Nana-Addo was projected, human rights advocate, anti-corruption crusader, and so when he came and he started first, okay, let's give him 6 months, let's give him 1 month. It's a total disaster. The government is gradually becoming a kakistocracy. You know what a kakistocracy is? That is where we are heading to. It is frightening. And 2020 is not just an election, it's a rescue mission. We need to rescue this country from that kakistocracy. I'm telling you, I'm very serious about this. Because the kinds of things that are happening, they have never happened before in this country since Kwame Nkrumah.
I don't know, but one would say that was the NDC any better? Because you see, just as you are saying that all these cases that are in court, people are not guilty until proven guilty. Also, a lot of the cases that are coming up, they've not been certified as, or like investigations have not really stated that these are actions of corruption or these people are really engaged in corruption. So I think it's the same allegations. What exactly are the corruption cases that you can point to? I mean, there are instances where the president has cleared people of corrupt charges. So sometimes it's so difficult to really pinpoint.
It's not difficult. It's because you want to make it look difficult. So granted, let's even assume that we are going according to what you have said. How come that during NDC time, when 1/10 of those same things happen, NDC is corrupt? Now under MPP, 1,000 times of those things are happening, and that one, they are yet to be proven. It's incredible. We are seeing it. Yesterday my general secretary said, PDS, the person is trying to steal, and you shout, hey Julo, he's stealing your phone, and he runs and leaves the phone behind, and you say, let's clap for him, he didn't steal. Pure, it is becoming organized crime. Look, I'm even short of words. It's incredulous. from the Boss saga, the things that happen at NLA, the Kelny GVG. I mean, every day there's something happening. Every day there's something happening. And for me, what frightens me is the nonchalant attitude of the entire system. Somehow, some way, somehow, they have this belief that for some reason the media will not take them on. Civil society, those who used to say Elvis Afriyie, they've all kept quiet. You know, they are not subjected to the same level of scrutiny and criticism as the NDC went through when we were in power. So horrible things are happening in this country, and we talk about it for a few days, and then it becomes that's the end of it. I mean, look, even this what's the name of that tree, that endangered species, rosewood. So if you will not believe what we are saying or the newspaper reports, an international body that is not NDC or MPP has come out with a report that the rosewood industry, the smuggling of the rosewood, and this is not, rosewood is physical, tangible. People go into the forest, cut it, pack it, put it in containers, drive it all the way from the north, go through security checkpoints to the port and ship it. Thousands of containers. An international entity says that the whole thing is being facilitated and orchestrated by MPP operatives. It's an international report. I didn't write it. So it's like free for all. Anybody is doing anything they like, you know, a TV here.
I think the president has lost control.
Oh, I believe, absolutely. I don't think. Either he's not in charge, which is very, very difficult to believe, or he's a beneficiary of the system, or he's actually a brain behind. Because it doesn't make sense. There are things that when they happen, you expect that the president, the Nanado that we all were hearing about, you know, you expect some action, you expect, you know, certain things to happen. He's rather covering them. Everybody is cleared. When people have been caught on tape, on camera, collecting money, then some CID will come and say they've cleared them. You know, Obama's wife said something. He said, the presidency doesn't change a man. The presidency shows a man's true nature. And I'm sad to say that Nanado, before he came to power, you know, and all that, today he's gotten power. We are all seeing for ourselves. It's a shame.
So on corruption, your rating is?
Negative 99.999. No, it's a disaster. It's you know, it's unconscionable. You see, when a government or a society gets to the point where it loses every moral restraint, where everything is possible, that you can do anything to achieve whatever ends, that is dangerous. You are sliding the society into danger. And so when we talk about corruption, it's not only financial corruption, but Ayawaso West Wagon is a typical example of the character, the nature, the disposition of this government, that they will do anything, irrespective of the moral consequences, the social consequences, the political consequences, the security consequences. Once they think it is in their interest, they will do it anyway. Now that is dangerous. Because a human being, what makes us different from other species is our conscience. And then there's also a person's own conscience, and then we also have the social and moral conscience. So whatever you're doing, you want to be sure that the society, okay, will accept it. That is why we naming and shaming is part of a civil society. Because you know that this is not acceptable by the society's norms. So when somebody does something wrong, you name and shame, and that becomes a moral restraint. Now when you have people, individuals or institutions or governments that have gone beyond the pale of responding to societal moral norms and conscience, we are sliding into danger.
But before I wrap up, how united is the NDC behind candidate John going into 2020?
You have a candidate that had 96%. What kind of unity again are you looking for? By any statistical means possible, globally, 96%. And those delegates are a representation of the people. It's unprecedented. 96%. So we are very, very united, we are focused, and we are determined to ensure that we rescue this country from the hands of.
But with the economy, in terms of the fiscal policy and macroeconomic stability, I mean, this government says it has performed much better than your regime did. Indeed, comparing records between 2016 and 2019 in terms of GDP growth, debt to GDP, end of year inflation, policy rate, city exchange rate, and fiscal deficits, they look much better, at least when you see the numbers.
Okay, so go and tell that.
So all these figures don't matter anymore.
Go. But they are the ones who said, when we had single-digit inflation during Millstone, they said, oh, figures, people don't eat figures. I'm quoting them, they don't eat figures. Now go and ask all those who have lost their jobs during this period of the MPP, whether those figures matter to them. Things are very, very difficult. Go to Makola, go speak to the drivers. Speak to ordinary people all over the place. Life has become extremely difficult. People cannot make ends meet. That is the reality of the average Ghanaian today. And those are the things that they said they were coming to deal with. So when you make a promise that I am coming to do A, B, C, D to the benefit of the people, and you come and now you say we should look at the figures, people are saying, no, we are looking at our pockets.
Let's look at infrastructure. Where do you place it?
They won't even get zero. And if a negative zero, is it the dams, the so-called dams or dugouts? It's a total falsehood. Dams, they claimed they were going to build dams. Later on, they said they are not really dams, they are dugouts, and the kinds of things that they are building, you don't even know whether they are dugouts or what. It's a total disaster. How for infrastructure, don't go there.
Internal security.
Hey, my brother. I can't find a grade for them because it is even worse than negative. and please, look. And you see, what traumatizes some of us is that if you are a true patriot and a true Democrat, you know that no one party will be in power forever. So when your party loses elections, it's okay, it's part of democracy. So you expect that the party that comes will move the country to another level. You see, people don't understand this, but it's important that every government that comes to power is able to move the country forward by some steps. Because if that does not happen, the next party now, if the mess in which the MPP is putting us now, when we do come back to power in 2020, and by the grace of God, we're coming back to power, it's going to take us longer. It's going to be more difficult. It's difficult to reverse some of the losses. So you would wish that at least a certain modicum of achievement. I think I've been fair to him in terms of the education. You have a so-called human rights advocate comes to power. First few days, first week, they are beating up people at the Flagstaff house, captured on camera. It was reported to him, nothing happened. Next time, the so-called invincible forces go and beat up his own regional security coordinator. Nothing happens, they are captured on TV. The next time, they go to courts and go and traumatize everybody, sack everybody, beat people and scatter the courts. Nothing happens to them. The next time, Kintampo Waterfalls, the same group of people, they go and create confusion. Nothing happens to them. They go to toll booths, beating up people, seizing cars. As I'm speaking to you now, my saloon car, which I bought legitimately, Camry, is being seized by them. It's still with them. That's another matter that we'll deal with next year. So this is a government of impunity. The last straw that broke the camel's back for me was Ayawaso West Wagon. I live here. Balishi School is just here. And when I saw what happened, that the government led by a so-called human rights advocate will have the courage and impunity. Those dogs trained for only 2 weeks, given AK-47 and sitting in public transport, police uniform, wearing SWAT uniform, and they were commanding policemen, and they came and shooting innocent civilians. You know that one of the laws of nature is self-defense. Assuming somebody also had a gun and said, look, I'm being attacked, so I want to counter. Do you think it would have been a good matter in this country? As we speak now, scores of people have been injured and maimed. The report of the Ayawaso West Wagon Commission is under lock and see. When you say, they say, oh, he has 6 months and you knew you had 6 months and you were in a hurry to go and pass a certain law, the law that you initiated that law based on what happened at the Ayawaso West Wagon. So the sensible thing to do is to wait for that report to come so that it will feed into the discussions for the law. At the same time, the Peace Council is also holding deliberations with political parties and other stakeholders. You ignore, you don't get input from all these people. Then you quickly go and pass the law to hoodwink everybody as if to think that you are doing something about, what do you call it, those your terrorists. And they are local terrorists. They trained them, they recruited them, they financed them, they brought people from South Africa to train them. They are all over the place. And when we come to power, we'll make sure that we put them in check because they are a threat to security. Look, when you say that somebody says you shouldn't do politics about it, there has been countless cases where some of these guys have been involved in naked robbery. Mrs. Echambon, East Legon here, the guys who went and raped her house help and somebody else in the house and stole their goods, they were arrested. They were known MPP people. Known. And they were known guys who belonged to that unit, that marauding unit of thugs that were sponsored by MPP. The guys who did the kidnapping, are they not MPP people? Recently, the people who killed the policewoman, one of them has been identified as a very key member of the Invincible and Delta forces. And you're talking about internal security. It's a sham. Nobody is safe. Here, you're sleeping. You're sleeping. I'm saying it is beyond negative. It's a disaster. And I'm saying that Ayawaso West was symptomatic of the fact that all this talk about Akufo-Addo, human rights, is a sham. It's just PR. It's a disaster.
Where would you play sports? That's your area. You've been there before. You also had issues at sports. Where would you place them sports?
Sports, I'll give them 4.
Why?
Because, we all know what happened in Brazil, the World Cup. What people have not spoken about is that it was a player rebellion. That is what people fail to see. But because I was the minister, I had to take responsibility. Because if we had gone to win, I'll take the credit. So I had to take responsibility. But the truth is that what really happened? The players said, one, they wanted to see cash, physical cash. If they don't see cash, they won't train and play. Now, you are not in Ghana. You are in Brazil. The choice was, tell them go to hell or find a way. So, together with national security, and it wasn't my decision alone, so look, let's find a way to send them their money. That's they'll say, the president spoke to them, assured them, the vice president spoke to them. Then there were delays in the money getting to them at the time we said the money was going to get to them. And they refused to train. That's the whole, they refused to train. That is the core. And eventually the money came, and the money was not smuggled. Between states, there are all these arrangements and agreements. So the Brazilian authorities knew that we had a crisis on our hands and we're going to bring money. So the money came. I wasn't the one who announced it on radio. The one who announced it on radio was not even invited to the commission. But because people took advantage of it and they wanted to deal with me, because people said I was becoming all kinds of things, even before the budget was approved. A pro-NDC paper had written that the president should not approve the money for the tournament because I was going to siphon some of the money and use it for my presidential ambition. I mean, all kinds of ridiculous, wild stories. A lot of the stories that were total falsehood. Coconut for $20. There's nothing like coconut for $20. You go and look at the report. There's nothing. It was purely fabrication. My wife was cooking. Nothing. My mother. Those were fabrications paid for. And at the right time, I'll talk about those things. But I'm saying that, so there was a commission, and the commission said we must be transparent. When I was going to the World Cup, all kinds of speculation. So I held a press conference at the press center, put the entire budget on screen, PowerPoint, line by line. Anybody who has any question, ask me. Nothing to hide. We came back amid all the noise, there was a commission. They brought Ernst and Young to do a forensic audit. You know what a forensic audit means? They are looking for something to prosecute you. At the end of the day, nothing. Nothing. You don't go into these things that you're going to steal state money. No, we rather raised funds from corporate Ghana for supporters. And the commission said we should no longer send supporters. But they took supporters. They could not publish the budget. And they came back and gave some unhundious accounts. So let's talk about something more interesting.
You're still watching Ghnewsnow. We'll soon be wrapping up our conversation. An exclusive interview with Honorable Elvis Afriyie Ankrah, Director of Elections for the NDC going into election 2020. So, Honorable, there seems to be the perception that Mahama exhibited so much energy in previous elections, vigor, the energy, and perhaps that confidence. There's a certain belief that he may have lost a bit of that steam owing to a lot of factors, physical changes, and also the fact that he lost terribly by that margin. And he may not have that confidence that Ghanaians have accepted him so much to give him a second shot. Do you think he has so much confidence in himself and in this election? For the NDC?
Absolutely. And I'll invite you to join us on one of our tours. I've been privileged to have served Professor Mills from 2002. We've gone around the country, primaries, first election, second election, and then 2012 I was President Mahama's campaign coordinator, going around the whole country, seeing people's responses to him. And 2016 as well, even though I was not in the forefront, I saw what happened. And I can tell you today that President Mahama is more popular, is stronger, more vibrant than even 2012. Look, you should join. You see, because we haven't gone into full campaign mode, some of these things we just do them on the quiet. But when we go around and you see the enthusiasm with which he's received, the way people say, look, people carry stones, come and take your stone, people bring lamps, we just want you back. Enough is enough. And this is only 2.5 years of this government. Enough is enough. So he's very, very energized. He's all over the place. He does it. Sometimes I wonder how he does it. He'll go for an international trip, come back the following morning. Even I, a young man, I'll be aching. He's off again on the road, traveling. A few weeks ago, he was in South Africa. He landed in Accra on a Friday. Saturday, he was on board an aircraft, came to Tamale, joined us for our retreat the following day. And that very day, he went around markets and other things in Tamale. The following day, he was off again to Hafo region. So he has so much energy.
You are certain he can wrestle power from the NPP?
Absolutely certain. Absolutely. No single iota of that. I'm saying it's a rescue mission. Ghanaians are calling for him because Ghanaians are saying that, look, we didn't anticipate that this was what we're going to get. I was in the Volta region over the weekend. People said, we've regretted. We didn't go and vote. We made mistakes. Look, we want him back. We want him back. Wherever we go, where public places, airports, people just come and talk to us. Look, we're ready. How? We want to even contribute, even if it's 100 cedis a month. I've never seen this kind of enthusiasm before.
No, but finally, I like something you said, because it's something I've not heard many people say, that when you say you lost the election, you admit you made mistakes. But not many NDC people say that. In fact, despite that whopping and historic 1 million difference in the last election,
so-called,
the NDC doesn't, some of your people, or the NDC, doesn't seem to take full responsibility for the defeat by acknowledging its failures. Instead, some have repeatedly said that Ghanaians were hoodwinked to vote for the NPP. Now, something that's insulting to the intelligence of the electorates. Can you tell me why Ghanaians will be better off choosing the NDC again in 2020? Because for some, whether NPP or NDC, their value is the same.
Okay. So, first of all, when you're talking about the loss of an election, you have to put it in context. There are many factors, the internal and the external. The internal is where we all made our mistakes. Like I said, we didn't close our door properly. We took certain things for granted. We felt that because we had done so much, people were going to renew our mandate. The external is what the NPP people also did, both fair and foul. And also the messages that they gave. They said they were going to do one village, one dam, one district, one factory, one constituency, 1 million, free SHS, free, free. So everybody thought everything was going to be free. So you have to take that, what they are saying, in context. If you don't look at it in context, you will say it's not an insult. We're saying that because of those promises, and because of the fact that Akufo-Addo had tried several times, at the point he was begging, you try, give me a chance and see if I will not fail you. So people felt, well, this man has tried several times. And the things he's saying, the only way we can know whether he can do it or not is by giving him the opportunity. So let's give him the opportunity and see. And now the same people are saying that, no. He just came to deceive us. Because all the things he said, I'm going to fight corruption, too much borrowing, too much taxation. He's doing the same things and triple, quadruple. So that is the context. And we are saying that, first of all, it appears as if he was not, he didn't understand the issues and governance. Okay? So he probably just wanted to be president, and then he came in there and he realized that the thing is complex. So he's trying, But in John Mahama, we have somebody who has been tried and tested. He's been vice president before. He's been president before. He knows what can be done and what cannot be done. So if John Mahama says, I'm going to do this, he has been in the seat before. He has been commander-in-chief before. He has managed the economy. And he has shown that given the opportunity, these are the things that I can do for the country. Leaps and bounds, moving the country forward. Anybody who enters Ghana, wow, this country is making tremendous progress, So with that background and that experience, and also learning lessons from the things that we did not do right, because that's important. For me, as campaign coordinator, we will not go to Ghanaians and say, everything we did in 2016 was honky-dory. No, that's not right. We must acknowledge and admit that there are things that we did not do right. Even internally with our own people. Some people felt that when we won power, we went and brought strangers on court. People who had not toiled and suffered, who did not understand the party, who were not deeply rooted in the principles and ideologies of the party, probity and accountability. And so those people did not have roots in the party, and they came and occupied sensitive positions, and they were disconnected from the masses. These are things that we should correct going forward. And I believe that by the grace of God, God will give us victory.
Honorable, thank you very much for your time on Ghnewsnow. Well, this has been yet another edition of our exclusive interview with Honorable Elvis Afriyie Ankrah, former sports minister in the Mahama administration, and also the NDC's Director of Elections for 2020 elections. We hope you enjoyed the interview. We'll be bringing you more of this as part of our approach to election 2020. My name is Ebenezer Afenidazi, and I'll be your host for today.